Alright, so this 4th of July, we've had a new, long-delayed or long-awaited sequel to a 80s franchise, and another sequel, part of, Eddie Murphy, and that is the new Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F. Interesting title. So, it's the best time for me to just talk about all 4 Beverly Hills Cop movies. So the first Beverly Hills Cop movie was directed by Martin Brest, who drew other classic movies such as Meet Joe Black, Scent of a Woman, Midnight Run, and the Razzie-winning classic, Geely. That's kind of funny. Because, I feel like you would not expect a guy who kind of makes prestigious films like that to end up making something like Geely. But at the same time, I've never seen Geely, so who am I to say? So I like the first Beverly Hills Cop movie as it's a fun comedy, that sort of vehicle for Eddie Murphy, show off a bit of his comedic talents, and he is really funny in this movie. What makes him really funny is the whole aspect of the movie being about this tough Detroit cop who has seen a lot, and he's very hardcore, is put into the situation where he must go to this new place that's more exotic and it's not as rough and tough as Detroit, and how he reacts to everything. Because that's where the humor really comes from in this, is just the fun, fish out of water vibe to it all. And yeah, that's basically why, it's the best part of this movie. And also the performances from Judge Reinhold as Woodward. I love Judge Reinhold. He's my favorite girlfriend that Elaine had on Seinfeld.
Goodbye.
Oh, hey. Oh, you must be Kramer. I've heard about you.
Hey, you must be Aaron. I've heard about you.
Well, see you later.
Yeah. Bye. Okay.
Also, John Ashton is really good in it. Also, of course, I really like seeing Ronny Cox, just because, from films such as RoboCop and the terrible Captain America movie that he's in, I like to just see Ronny Cox in anything. So it's funny that, he's in this as, unlike, he's a good guy in Captain America or RoboCop, he's a bad guy, but in this, he is, strictly just an asshole, but redeems himself at the end, so I like that aspect. Also, the actress that plays Jeanette, Lisa Elbacher, was actually in the Spider-Man 1977 TV pilot. She was also in the film An Officer and a Gentleman, but I think it's kind of interesting that she was in the pilot for Spider-Man, and then she made it into this classic Eddie Murphy movie. The film's biggest issue, though, that I need to kind of address is just the action. It's because I guess this is meant to be more of a comedy, but at the same time, this is by Don Simpson and Jerry Bruckheimer, and they were they're sort of action guys, and the action just isn't the best in this. It kind of towards the end, it gets a little boring. Besides that fun part where all the police cars just collide, that's funny. But the rest of the movie is not that funny. Most of the action just overall is not that interesting and kind of dull. And that's because I feel like the stuff that Martin Brest has done is more dramatic crime stuff, which would be a little bit better in the next one. We'll get to that. But that's really the movie's fault. Overall, I think the characters and Eddie Murphy's performances and some of the writing is really good, and it's a good vibes, fish out of water story that is executed very decently. So Beverly Hills Cop II was this time directed by Tony Scott, the year after he did Top Gun, and right away you can see the huge gap between Martin Brest's direction and Tony Scott's direction, because the looks are very different. Because Beverly Hills Cop, it's got it's kind of got this bland look to it at times, but Beverly Hills Cop 2 looks like Top Gun. It has that, it's that classic look that Michael Bay would adopt for pretty much all of his films. Tony Scott would use it for all his other movies that he would make after, like, True Romance. And this is my favorite one, just because I like more of the filmmaking aspect. Like, right away, like, the bank heist, it's like, overall, it's just quicker, with its editing and its action, it's the direction. Like, Tony Scott was made more for, like, this type of filmmaking instead of Martin Brest. And I think it actually meshes pretty well with the humor and all the action. I think it actually goes together well. I still think Eddie Murphy is funny in this. I still like, Judge Reinhold, John Ashton's performance. Especially, I think it's funny just how, like, Judge Reinhold has all these, like, guns, and he's, like, going for this, like, John Woo look. And, like, how his apartment has, like, like 80s action posters. It's got Rambo. And then it's got the poster for Cobra, which is funny because the girl, Bridget Nielsen, the girl from Cobra, is also in this movie. So that is an aspect that I liked. There's also a very, very young Chris Rock.
Yo, what the fuck is up, man? Check this out. I get $10 for cars. I get $20 for limos. What the hell is this?
My truck. Here's $50. Put it next to the limo.
Overall, it's just it's a fun, action comedy that I think improves just on the more technical aspects that the first film had. But I think the only thing that I think this one doesn't have is, like, the fun, like, stuff of, like, making fun of Beverly Hills, like, that last film did. That's what this movie really sadly lacks. But overall, I think it is mostly fun popcorn action from Tony Scott. So now we finally get to the one that's considered the worst one, Beverly Hills Cop III, which this time is directed by another director that I like, that is John Landis. I like The Blues Brothers. I love that movie. I love American Werewolf in London. I love Animal House. I like Coming to America, which, to be honest, I kind of like Coming to America, the first one, over the Beverly Hills Cop movies altogether. That's just my opinion. But, yeah, and you'd think this movie would be way better than it is. Like, it's, because it's John Landis, but then you look into the history, like, this movie, like, first off, this had a lot of, like, changes. Like, originally, like, from when I saw there was an idea where, like, it would be Axel teaming up with, like a Scottish police officer played by Sean Connery, so that it would have been like that in Scotland. I mean, okay, if you want to do something like that where it's like, Axel going somewhere else, but the budget kept getting chopped, and it's very obvious in the final film because it is not as polished looking as what 2 looked like, because it had a director who was competent. I'm not saying John Landis is not a competent director, but I don't know how competent he was in this, because this movie is just terrible. In a way, it just feels so flat. Everything about it just feels so flat and bland. Like, some stuff just doesn't make sense, because the whole point of this movie this time is that the inspector that Axel works for gets killed right in the opening. And I gotta say also too, like, the opening of this movie is also, like, Axel's introduction is so mediocre. Like, it just like cuts to him talking to some guys. It's not even like a cool reveal. It's just like so unbelievably like lame how they like introduce him in this movie. And then they kill his like inspector off, but in the previous movies, like, he like Axel said, like, he didn't really like it didn't really feel like they had a bond at all together. He was just the hard-boiled, boss, and like it really should have just been his friend Paul Reiser that he was like avenging in this film. That would have been better. Instead, they just killed the inspector. It doesn't make sense. And that's another thing. Paul Reiser, his friend from Detroit, and Ronnie Cox, John Ashton, they don't come back in this movie at all. It's just Eddie Murphy and Judge Reinhold and this other guy that you don't really care about throughout the film.
Excuse me.
Hey,
me!
That's not fair.
Maintenance, I gotta go grease the chain. You hear how dry it sound?
Sorry. Come on, let's go.
And it's overall boring. Unlike 2, where it's more like, it was like better on the action. This one, it's just like not, like the action is like back to just being flat like in the first one, but even worse. It's more boring. But like, to be honest, like the fun thing about this movie though, because like there is a whole thing where like the whole film is around this theme park, and which I kind of thought was kind of fun. There's like, there's the scene where like, I think they went to the earthquake attraction at Universal Studios, which I don't think is there anymore. And there's like a fun like dinosaur ride scene that I kind of thought was it. That stuff is kind of cool, but it just doesn't work in a movie like this. So yeah, this movie isn't that great. And it, obviously it would make it would cancel. It would put an end to the franchise for 30 years now. So yeah, it's definitely not really something that people look back fondly on, and rightfully so. It's not that good. Hey guys, so before I start talking about the fourth film and the next, I have to mention that I just found out that there was a Beverly Hills Cop TV show pilot that was never aired, and it wasn't like a reboot, like a remake, like Lethal Weapon, like when there was a Lethal Weapon show. This was like in the same continuity, like after like Beverly Hills Cop 3, where it was Axel now has like a son who is going to Beverly Hills, and it's like literally like in continuity. And yeah, this I just found it out, and it's just it's this TV show, this Unaird Pilot that never got made, and Eddie Murphy and Judge Reinhold is in it, but this was like in 2013, so it kind of makes sense why they were in it, because probably Eddie Murphy wasn't that big around this time until now, but yeah, I just learned about this, so had to mention it. But you don't really need to watch it in order to watch the fourth film, because they never mention the son again. So now we're finally at the newest Beverly Hills Cop movie. The question is this better than the other Eddie Murphy sequel coming to America? Yeah. That is mainly because I think, you can keep making Beverly Hills Cop movies, but coming to America, that kind of already had like a good finished story, so, it didn't need it. But if Beverly Hills Cop, you can kind of just keep making them, because it's, they're not hard to do. It's not hard to really make a sequel, and plot-wise. So this movie was directed by Mark Malloy, who has mainly just done just one short film, and now he's been given to make a sequel to one of the most anticipated Eddie Murphy sequels ever. I don't really know how many people wanted another Beverly Hills Cop movie, but it's kind of strange that you get this guy who's only directed one short film. But overall, again, look, I actually liked this movie. This was a pretty good, long-awaited sequel. The biggest thing, is failed at, though, is that, so, look, it does reunite Eddie Murphy, Judge Reinhold, and John Ashton together. They team up, but it's not a lot. They're not really together in the same room a lot. They do kind of a bit of the Star Wars problem. Not horribly, though, because they do wait. They do have a moment. The three do have a moment, but it's too long. And then, I do hope, this is going to be a series. If they'll make another one, and then, we'll have a scene, we'll have a cool scene where they meet up again. So, I hope that happens. And of course, there's a new cast, that is, mainly Joseph Levitt-Gordon as the buddy cop that he's with throughout most of the film, who I don't really see this guy in a lot of movies, to be honest. He was in Inception, Dark Knight Rises, and Looper back in the day, but now, he was in, Trial of the Chicago 7, but I haven't seen him in a lot. I don't know, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, I don't see him in a lot, but I do like him. And he's pretty good in this. Still prefer it was the original team, but, people do have problems with, seeing old people in movies, but Eddie Murphy, I don't think, has that problem in this movie. if anything, he looks pretty good for like how old he is, because I think he's in his 60s, and man, the guy looks pretty good. Look, I'm gonna be honest. Like, I think he looks pretty good for his age, and also, so you know, another thing in this movie is that it has Axel's daughter in it, and you know, I can imagine a lot of people thinking that she would ruin the movie, but actually she doesn't. And the reason, you know, and I think the reason why like they're kind of so estranged is actually, you know, smart. It's not like she's not like a feminist. She's just like, she just doesn't like how she was raised as a kid, and how like her dad wasn't always there. I liked that aspect of the movie, to be honest. I think that was actually like a smart way of like, you know, introducing a character like that and how they connect. I like that aspect. And Kevin Bacon as the main villain was actually kind of fun. I like Kevin Bacon, and he's always like a fun actor when he's like playing a villain, because I'm not big on him, but I like when I see him play an actor. And also I like the Paul Reiser scenes. Paul Reiser scenes in this and Beverly Hills Cop II are always fun, and the action actually is also pretty good. I think this might be like the best action in any of the Beverly Hills Cop movies, and yeah, I'm gonna say that's the best way to put it. And overall, I think it was a fun sequel, and hope we get another one. This definitely made me want to, you know, see more adventures with Axel Foley, and I hope a lot of people too. You know, this reignited interest in more Beverly Hills Cop movies. And, you know, I would still like to see what else Eddie Murphy does. I don't know if he's going to make any other sequels to his movies. Well, they just announced that there's going to be a Donkey movie, so let's see how that turns out. But yeah. Thank you very much, guys, for watching this video. Subscribe if you want to see more videos, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.